to do the selling in advance. The selling has to be done in advance. So how do you sell your services in advance? Well, you help people to choose you. And how do you actually help people to choose you? We talked about positioning. They have to understand what your expertise is. You've got to set yourself up as an expert in your local area. Now, you ask, how do I do that, James? You know, if there's 18 or 20 other electricians in my local area, how do I set me up as an expert in the area? And again, this all comes back to how you position yourself within your local area. A couple of things you do in order to position yourself. Let's take a look at just two very simple things. Number one, niche. That is, understand that specialists are more sought after than generalists. So when you are being out there as a generalist, in other words, I'm an electrician and I do everything, you know, you see it on the vans and so on and so forth, everything from a single socket to a complete rewire. We do industrial, commercial, and domestic. How could I forget domestic? Industrial, commercial, and domestic we do. So you now look, and the customer goes into confusion. Does he do what I want? Does he do the thing that I need? And they don't know. They don't understand, because they don't understand the difference between an industrial, a domestic, a commercial electrician. They don't know if their job is a small job or it's a big job, if it's a worthwhile job, and they go into slight confusion. So you need to clear up that. So number one, become an expert in whatever it is you do. So if you specialize in doing small domestic jobs, then make that your expertise, make that your speciality. If you specialize in doing outdoor lighting, then make that your speciality. If you specialize in doing EV installations, then make that your speciality. But the point is, you need to stand out as specializing in something. Now, just because you specialize in something does not mean, and this is where some people get it wrong, just because you specialize in something does not mean that you cannot do or you won't get other work. Of course you will. All of us will. As electricians, we can do the complete thing from a single socket to a rewire. And when we get queries and questions from our customers about such things, then we respond accordingly and we pick up that kind of work. But by specializing, by niching, you actually you start to, number one, get the kind of work that you are looking to do. So the stuff that you're good at, the stuff that you can make profitable. But that leads us then to our number two part of the expertise, and that is we target specific customers, what we call our ideal customer. And you do that by specializing as well. So if you're specializing in terms of the type of customer that you are after, you break your customer down into their demographics, their psychographics, and you create what we call your ideal customer. Now, unfortunately, many people, and again, unfortunately, many coaches will tell you stupid things about ideal customer and how you should imagine this and think about that. But the reality is that there's a proper exercise, there's a proper method for working out who your ideal customer is. Specifically, if you have been in business for any length of time and you already have a number of customers, using those customers and them as a demographic, using those and the data points that you can pick up from those customers, you can easily map out who your ideal customer is. And there's an exercise, complete exercise in the toolbox on doing that. And I suggest if you haven't done it by now, you should do it. So if you specialize in the person that you serve and the type of work that you do, then you will stand out in your local area. Not only will you stand out, but as far as selling is concerned, as far as marketing is concerned, you'll be able to use your marketing budget much more effectively than if you're using a scattergun approach, looking for all kinds of work from everybody. I'm hoping that that's making sense. If that's making sense, guys, let me see some thumbs, hearts, and smiley faces going up across that screen. But the difference is that, you know, somebody who's advertising for everything from a complete rewire to everything from a single socket to a complete rewire, and they're advertising that to everybody, whether it's, you know, all the people in the country, and in some cases when you see some of these blinking Facebook ads, it's all the people in the world. Very quickly you eat through your budget, you eat through your marketing budget, and then you look and you go, well, I got nothing out of that. Whereas if you target specific type of work to specific type of people, then your budget will go much further because you're targeting the right kind of people. And again, we're looking at within your own local area, within your own local community. One of the things that people do is they put up adverts and target much bigger, wider areas because they think, if I go out 40 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles, I'm going to get plenty of work because there's a huge amount of people out there. So they spread that out. They spread out their budget to advertise that far out. And that's difficult. You can never dominate doing that because you just become a little speck. You just become another voice out in the wilderness. Whereas if you narrow down the area that you're working in, sort of a 5 to 15, 15, maybe even 20-mile maximum, within the area that you actually live or the area that your business is based. If you narrow things down into that kind of an area, your budget is much more effective. You can dominate, you can become the name on everybody's tongue. And that brings us to the next area of why people choose you, or how to help people to choose you. And that's visibility. It's making sure that you are seen everywhere. We call it domination, and we have within the toolbox, we have what we call our leaflet domination campaign, which is one way of creating domination. And the object of the leaflet domination campaign is that you are seen to be everywhere, but within a very tight area. So you start to do your leafleting within the sort of community that your business is based in, and then you spread it out and you spread it out and you spread it out. You don't take your leafleting campaign and go 20 miles out of your area and start leafleting out there. You dominate by going from the center out, so from your offices or from your home, and moving out gradually, but making sure that every property that you want to work in. Of course, you're not going to leaflet properties that you don't want to work in. You're probably not going to leaflet things like council estates, unless now they're all, the majority are owned by the occupier. But current council properties, they're going to go to the councils to have their work done. Housing agency, they're going to go to those agencies to have the work done. But anyway, we digress. The point of a domination campaign is to dominate the area in a manner that your name, and it's not about aggression. Domination sounds aggression. You're going to dominate, you're going to market aggressively, but you're doing it so that your name becomes the name on the tip of everybody's tongue in that area. And the leaflet domination should then be backed up with a local magazine campaign. There should be leaflets pinned up in local shops. You should be doing a level of networking within the local community. Bear with me. You should be arranging joint ventures in the local community. And joint ventures, the type of thing that we do naturally with joint ventures is we get to know a decent plumber, we get to know a decent carpenter, maybe a decent locksmith, and we'll recommend them willy-nilly and so on and so forth. What you need to do is start doing that intentionally. Find yourself a good plumber, a good heating engineer, a good locksmith, a good gardener, a good domestic service company, a good oven cleaning company, a good appliance repair person. Find these people in your local community. Make it your business to build relationships with these people so that you cross refer, so that you start sharing information with one another, so that you start passing your details out to one another's customers. These joint venture relationships are so worth the effort. But then think even further than that and think, apart from the services that are actually going into people's homes, think about the kind of services where your homeowners are going to. So look at your gymnasiums, look at your nurseries, look at your hairdressers, your nail salons. Where else can you have your information and do an exchange of service where that you can promote their service to your customers and they can promote your service to their customers as well. Ben Saunders, nice to have you out there. Good morning. I think, Ben, you're coming up as Facebook user as well. You might want to just click on the StreamYard link. I'm going to just turn off this rolling banner that's running around there at the moment. So bear with me and we'll be back to you just a second. There we go. Done. So visibility, hugely important. And as I said, we talk about it in terms of domination. Your customer has to know where to find you. We go back to that scenario that I mentioned earlier. You're driving out the road in the morning, you got your lunchbox on the seat, and as you're driving out the road, you see another van, another electrician coming into your area. Why does it happen? It happens because people in your local area don't know that you exist. Now, fair enough. If they know you exist, they may call you, they may get a quote. You might find that you're too expensive for them. They can't afford you. Then fine, let them bring whoever they want in after that. But you should at least be getting a bite of the cherry. You should at least know that in that property, they're planning to do a rewire. And I quoted for that rewire at X. They couldn't afford to do it. So this numpty's come in and he's doing it cheaper. Great. His problem, not mine. But you should be visible within your local area so that anybody who needs any form of electrical work has your name on the tip of their tongue. So that's visibility. Then you need, of course, approachability. The very simple first part of approachability is contactability. They need to be able to contact you. You know, do your customers in your local area know how to get hold of you? Is your phone number attached to everything that you do? Is it visible as soon as I go and visit your website? Is it visible as soon as I go and visit your Facebook page? Can I see it as soon as I visit your Twitter page? On your next door business page, is it visible there as well? You need to make sure that your customers are not struggling to get hold of you. Are you putting out enough leaflets at a regular interval in your local community? Are they the template, the ones that say, keep this until you need it? So make sure that your customers, number one, know how to get hold of you. Yeah, and it may sound simple, but the number of times that we've done a review on somebody's website and you have to search and search and search. It's got all this freaking lovely information, got great information about the company, but you've got to search and search and search to find the actual phone number. And then you get to the about page and on or the contact us page. On the contact us page, there's just a box for them to put some details in. There's no address. Um, you know, all these things. And then you get there, and even if you can scroll out and you can find the actual phone number, you find that there's no address. And then you start thinking, well, are these bona fide? If they are my local electrician, why can't I see an address somewhere? That makes people worry and concerned. Why would you hide the business address? And I know back in the day, old school people were, I don't want people turning up on my doorstep. I don't want people knocking up. Doesn't happen these days. Let's be really honest about it. So you should have all of the right details visible so that the customer can actually get hold of you. And then what happens when they do try and get hold of you? When they phone, what happens? Do you answer the phone? Does the phone go to an answering service? Does the phone just ring out because you're too busy climbing around inside of a loft? How many times? And again, we hear this from toolboxers from time to time as well. You know, they're out working and they're getting calls coming in, but they're not able to deal with it. So the call goes to an answer service. The message says leave a message and I'll get back to you. The customer leaves a message and then you get back to the person. And it's sometimes in this day and age, sometimes it's only 20 minutes freaking later. You get back to the person and say, oh no, sorry, I've already got somebody for that. Why? Because people these days are not waiting. They know, you know, if they don't talk to a human being, they don't feel that they have been that they've been received. They don't feel that their information has gotten across. So they pick up the phone and they call, and then it goes to your business and it goes to an answering service which says, please leave a message. We're too busy. And they leave the message. That's great. Then they put the phone down. They think for a second. And it's like, well, I haven't really spoken to anybody. So they're now onto the Yellow Pages or the local magazine or whatever, Google, and they're onto the next person. And they're picking up the phone, and they'll keep doing that until somebody answers. And it's normally the first freaking person who answers the phone that they'll say, yeah, can you come around and do a quote? And then you call back and say, oh, I picked up your message. And they say, no, we've already got it dealt with. Now, sometimes in that case, all they've got dealt with is they've got a quote. They don't even know if they're going to be satisfied with it, but they've got somebody coming around to do a quote, or they've already got 2 or 3 people coming around. They don't want more, you know. So there's a lot to be said. Number one, for being found, but number two, for making sure that your phone is answered. And in this day and age, answered by a human being. Yeah, messages and so on and so forth have their place. But, you know, when you are marketing your service, when you are getting people to respond to your adverts, in other words, when somebody picks up a leaflet of yours or somebody opens up a magazine and sees your advert, when they call that number, they should speak to a human being. You know, if you not want to have an answer service on for other things later, you know, whether it's people calling directly to an office or something like that, then fine, that's great. But from a marketing perspective, when they read an advert, when they read a leaflet, when they find you on a website, when they call that number should be answered. In this day and age, people don't wait around. They're not waiting. So, you know, either set it up in such a way that you can answer the phone yourself, or set it up in such a way that you have somebody in your office, be it a member of staff, be it your wife, be it your son, be it your daughter, but somebody who's going to answer the phone, a human being who's going to talk on the phone. You know, services the like of Dan McAdam, who can actually answer the phone and know what they're talking about, is a really good option as well. And then further down the line from that is just a basic VA service, somebody who'll answer the phone and just say, "I'm sorry, you know, James isn't available at the moment, but I'll have him call you back." They still feel they've spoken to a human being. Okay.